There is a plague that has been transmitted in this country for years. Many people suffer from it and don't even know it. You could be a carrier of this epidemic. Here are a few symptoms: drug abuse, dropping out of high school, imprisonment, and even suicide. It's the Father Deficiency, the most needed vitamin in America. It's also the title of a book written by Frank Stewart, providing 29 tools needed to overcome growing up without a good father. Visit fatherdeficiency.org to order your copy or call 501-329-2055.
Good morning and welcome back again to your Acts Ministry podcast. Father's Day is over, but we know the plague of fatherlessness is an epidemic we still need to fight every day of the year. June is our Father Awareness Month, so for the rest of the month of June, we will continue to go chapter by chapter in my book, Father Deficiency, giving you an overview of each chapter. I want to remind you that if you've missed a day, please feel free to go back. In the month of June, we give you all 29 chapters, plus the chapter of the introduction. So if you missed a day, feel free to go back and revisit that on our podcast. I know it will be a blessing to you. At this time, it's time to study, and we're going back into the book, Father Deficiency.
Welcome to the Words to Empower podcast, featuring Bishop Frank Stewart, pastor of the Acts Ministry in Conway and North Little Rock, and now Pastor Stewart.
Today in the book Father Deficiency, I want to talk about balance, how being father deficient or fatherless affects one's balance. Now, the last couple of days we've talked about fatherquake, and we've talked about when abnormal is your normal. And the thing that we were leading up to is that when you don't have the two things that God put in your life to balance you, then it creates an imbalance in your life. An imbalance. You're out of balance. Anytime God meant for something or two things to be in your life and one is not there, it's like being on a seesaw. If you're on a seesaw, it is designed to be balanced. One person on one end of the seesaw and one on the other end of the seesaw, and you create a balance. But when there's just one person there, then there's no balance. There's an imbalance. The other end of the seesaw is straight up in the air. There's no balance. Things slide out of place. That's what happened in a fatherquake that we talked about a couple of days ago in chapter 11 of the book, A Fatherquake. It moves things out of balance. And when there is not the proper balance, then there will be disease or diseases. That's very, very important. When there's not balance emotionally, there will be trauma. When there's not balance in your physical body with the amount of vitamins and minerals that should be in your bloodstream, then there is a deficiency. There's an imbalance, and it creates a disease. Many diseases are caused just because there's an imbalance. The body has not received what it needs, and one of the things that it needs, it has not received it, so it created an imbalance in the body. So balance is very important, and father deficiency creates this imbalance, or it affects one's balance in life. God designed it like that. It's nothing I can do. It's nothing you can do to change that. This was the design of God, the Creator, from the very beginning. And it's nothing that we can do to make us believe, or nothing we can say that will change the Word of God to make us believe that we can be absent certain things and still have balance. You know, first chapter of the book, we talk about the lack of vitamin C, how many of the sailors that went went months and months without vitamin C, developed scurvy, and many of them died from just the lack of vitamin C, what it does to the body. The body has to be balanced, not just giving it certain vitamins or minerals, but it must have a balance. That's why it's a balanced diet, not just one thing, but it needs to be balanced. That's how the body is created, and that's how we're created in our emotions, and how God designed us to be balanced. So chapter 13 is a very pivotal chapter. It piggybacks off of chapter 11 and chapter 12, the father quake, and also abnormal seeming to be normal. It seems like this is the way it is all the time. Now, anytime anything is always a certain way, a generation that grow up like that will embrace that as being normal. That generation in the wilderness, where all of those that were over 20 end up dying in the wilderness, except Joshua and Caleb, because they were born in an out of balance situation. So even when he brings them to the promised land, you know what they said. They wanted to go back to Egypt, because there was no balance. I want to read as much as I can of chapter 13 to you, and I'm asking you to go on and download it electronically or ask for a copy. It will help you in this war that we're fighting against fatherlessness. You say, what can we do? Well, mentorship is something that can be done and that is necessary. We see that as a biblical principle. Paul mentored Timothy. If you read the book of 1st and 2nd Timothy and also Titus, you see Paul would take young men to himself, and he would mentor them and actually teach them what they should have been taught, but they were not. And what he was doing was giving them a balanced life. In chapter 13, and I'm going to just read a little bit of this so you can get a taste of it. It's very, very important. It says, I believe this chapter, more than any other, describes accurately what being father deficient does to a person. While many may never worship their father's idols or be affected by displaced anger, without a father they are off-centered in some way. It takes a man and a woman to bring a child into existence. It also takes both a father and a mother to give them a foundation of wholeness. While there are no legitimate scientific argument against the essential component needed to produce life, there shouldn't be any argument against what is needed for the wholeness of life. No matter how great one's parent may be, the other parent is needed to give wholeness and balance. And as I said, that's why mentorship is so important. Good, godly mentorship. And we're talking about father deficiency, but whether it's father deficiency or is a mother deficiency, that balance is needed. It's needed to bring up, that other parent rather is needed to bring about balance. And that balance is needed especially as that person goes into a relationship.
Stay tuned for more of Frank Stewart. And now for some special announcements.
Thanks for partnering with the Acts Ministries. We value your service and your donations. That's why we've made it easy to make contributions to support our ministry. Simply go to your web browser and click the search bar and type in actsministriesonline.org. Then click Donate Online. It's really that easy. For mobile giving, text the amount you wish to donate to 501-302-4242.
There is a plague that has been transmitted in this country for years. Many people suffer from it and don't even know it. You could be a carrier of this epidemic. Here are a few symptoms: drug abuse, dropping out of high school, imprisonment, and even suicide. It's the Father Deficiency, the most needed vitamin in America. It's also the title of a book written by Frank Stewart, providing 29 tools needed to overcome growing up without a good father. Visit fatherdeficiency.org to order your copy or call 501-329-2055.
And now, more of Pastor Frank Stewart. The chapter goes on to say this: a father's absence can create psychological, emotional, and social imbalances in a person's life. The lack of an influence of a loving father on a child's life can affect him or her in different ways, causing a child not to react or overreact to similar situations in life. It can cause an extreme reaction to the left or to the right of what is normal. The one thing above everything else is that father deficiency affects one's balance. There is a delicate balance that children should see in observing the healthy interaction between their mother and father. This is a critical balance that is so vital in the development of the wholeness of a child. Please notice that I am very careful to state that while father deficiency affects some in one way, it will also affect others in a completely different way or opposite way. It may make some supersensitive in one area and others insensitive in the same area. It can make some people passive while others aggressive. The important thing to recognize is that it affects people in different ways. God, in his divine plan of creation, designed every child with a need for a loving father and a loving mother. Since we know this is God's original design, then it is only logical to believe that when one is missing, it creates a deficiency. I discussed in the first chapter how the absence of vitamin C will cause a major physical problem, even death, and how the absence of a father, the daddy vitamin, will cause serious social and emotional problems. Please do not waste precious time, as I did, thinking for years that I had received everything I needed because I received so much love from others who were not my father. When I say others, I'm talking about the women that raised me. I pray that every person who grew up in a father-deficient home would vow never to allow their children to go through the same agonizing experience. Many times, people who come from a father-deficient home end up having children that are also father-deficient. This is addressed in chapter 23, the potential to become what you hate the most. Even those who purposely avoid becoming like their fathers still have an imbalance. While there are good intentions, there is a tendency to overcompensate in one area or another. If people do overcompensate in a particular area, they are likely to undercompensate in another area in an effort to avoid what has been done to them. This is automatically an imbalance. It is possible for them to be wonderful parents and yet be deficient as a spouse or vice versa. I'm going to read that again. It is possible for them to be a wonderful parent and yet be deficient as a spouse or vice versa. So that's just some of chapter number 13, talking about father deficiency affects one's balance. And it is a key chapter, as you heard me as I was reading that. The first sentence talks about how that is key, because everyone does not experience the same lifestyle or the same characteristics or the same behavior, but yet and still there will be an imbalance. It would push you to one extreme or the other, or be in a position where one is totally void of not just being oversensitive, but just totally void of sensitivity. So it's very important that we understand how we're created. And I think when people start thinking about how they was created, and I'm not talking about what Darwin said, because if you believe what Darwin said, then The Bible has already condemned that because God said, the fool has said in his heart, there is no God. And when we know that God is going to judge some by creation, God believes that creation alone is enough evidence to convince even a fool that there is a God. Now, that's God's belief system. That's what God believes, and that's how he's going to judge some people. That he believes when you look at creation, that if you believe that all this just, boom, everything just blew up and all of a sudden everything was there, then God says you are a fool, because only a fool would think like that. So it's very, very important that we look at our balance and not be in denial that we need someone on each end of our seesaw in life. Now, whether that's a biological father, another father coming into your life, the thing is that mentoring is something that the Bible speaks of that is very important to every individual to balance them out. Whether that is a mother deficiency or father deficiency, there is a need in every child to be balanced the way God designed us to be. I want you to stay tuned. On tomorrow, we will go into the next chapter, and we're going to talk about destiny markers, which is very, very important. And I think when we look at this chapter, we're going to see that maybe the reason why we got off to a late start is because we didn't have a destiny marker. And I'm willing to confess to you that I am a late bloomer, and many late bloomers are missing that destiny marker that the Father was supposed to mark.
For mobile giving, text the amount you wish to donate to 501-302-4242.
The Acts Church in North Little Rock is located at 1224 Franklin Street. Morning Glory begins at 8 a.m. on Sunday mornings. Sunday school begins at 8:30 a.m. And for a powerful word, join us at 9:30 a.m. for our morning worship service. Bible study is each Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. At our Conway location, Morning Glory begins at 10 a.m. Sunday school begins at 10:30 a.m. Worship service begins at 11:30 a.m. On Thursday, our Bible class begins at 6:30 p.m. For more information, go to actsministriesonline.org or give us a call at 501-329-2055.
Thank you for tuning in to the Acts Ministry podcast. The Acts Church is located at 1423 Indian Street in Conway and 1224 Franklin Street in North Little Rock, Arkansas. Tune in each day to hear an inspiring word from Pastor Frank Stewart.
Well, friends, that's the end of our broadcast today. I hope you enjoyed the broadcast today. Fatherlessness and father deficiency has been one of the great passions of this ministry. Being fatherless from birth, I am a personal witness of the devastation it brings into the life of a person. With this present father crisis we are experiencing in this country now, 1/3 of all the children living in this country live in homes without fathers. That's about 15 million children. We're asking you to join this fight with us by becoming a partner. Go to our website, actsministriesonline.org. That is actsministriesonline.org, and purchase the book Father Deficiency or purchase an electronic copy. The Bible declares that my people are destroyed for the lack of knowledge. The book Father Deficiency will give you the knowledge and bring awareness to you so you can fight against America's greatest plague. Remember, friends, that's actsministriesonline.org. God bless you, and remember our motto at Acts Church. If you're not doing church when you leave church, you're not doing church right.
There is a plague that has been transmitted in this country for years. Many people suffer from it and don't even know it. You could be a carrier of this epidemic. Here are a few symptoms: drug abuse, dropping out of high school, imprisonment, and even suicide. It's the father deficiency, the most needed vitamin in America. It's also the title of a book written by Frank Stewart, providing 29 tools needed to overcome growing up without a good father. Visit fatherdeficiency.org to order your copy or call 501-329-2055.